Join me as we dive into the future and challenge myself to predict whether the US dollar will still be a global currency in 2025. The idea of a global currency has existed for centuries. Currencies have risen and fallen, but for the decades, the US dollar has been the gold standard for trade and finance. It's the world's most widely held and used currency, but will that last? Imagine waking up one day to find that the US dollar is no longer the world's most trusted currency. Prices fluctuate, global markets shift, and businesses scramble to adjust. Is this the far fetched scenario of what could actually happen? Let's take a closer look at the key factors shaping the future of the US dollar. The US dollar is now facing threats from multiple angles. Emerging economies like China and India are growing rapidly, and their currencies are becoming more prominent. The Chinese yen, in particular, has gained significant ground. Many experts predict it could eventually challenge the dollar as world reserve currency. Other contenders include the euro and the yen, while digital currencies are steadily gaining traction. For years, the US dollar has been the dominant currency for international trade and finance. But as countries like China and India grow, they want more financial independence. China, for example, has been pushing for its currency, the yen, to be used more in international trade. Some trade agreements are now being made in yen instead of dollars. Russia, for example, has started using the yen and gold instead of the dollar in some transactions. The euro and the Japanese yen also continue to be strong alternatives in the global markets. The central digital currencies, CBDCs, are another game changer. Governments worldwide are exploring digital versions of their currencies, and this shift toward digitalization is reshaping the financial landscape. As countries move toward a cashless society, the dominance of the dollar is being questioned. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated this trend, further pushing societies toward the digital transaction. China has already launched its own digital yen, allowing people to make transactions electronically without relying on banks. If more countries follow this path, fewer transactions might be settled in the US dollar. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin also play a role. Once dismissed as a niche investment, Bitcoin is now viewed as a digital store of value, like gold. If people and businesses continue shifting toward decentralized finance, it could weaken the traditional banking system, lessen the reliance on the US dollar. Geopolitical tensions also play a role. Countries like China and Russia are actively working to reduce reliance on the US dollar. These nations are making trade agreements that bypass the dollar entirely, saving for other currencies or even commodities like gold. This de-dollarization movement is a clear sign the dollar's position is not as secure as it was once. Why this is happening? One big reason is sanctions. The US often imposes financial sanctions on countries by blocking their access to the US dollar system. In response, these countries are finding ways to do business without using the dollar at all. If enough countries follow suit, global demand for the dollar could decline significantly. The strength of the US dollar depends largely on the health of the US economy. If the economy remains strong, the dollar is more likely to keep its global dominance. If inflation, national debt, and economic stability worsens, the confidence in the dollar will drop. Right now, the US has over $30 trillion in national debt. If this debt keeps growing and investors lose trust, they may start looking for safer alternatives, weakening the dollar's power. Several key factors will determine whether the US dollar remains the world's reserve currency. China is rapidly expanding its economic influence, and Asia Pacific region is becoming increasingly important to global trade. If China's economy continues to grow at this current pace, the yen could become the true competitor to the dollar. Trade wars, inflation, and debt levels are all in impact. Confidence in the dollar, if the US mismanages the economy or loses the financial credibility, investors and governments may look elsewhere for stability. Cryptocurrencies and CBDs have the potential to alter the financial landscape permanently. If the governments create efficient digital currencies that offer security and easy to use, global reliance on the dollar will decline. Experts are divided on what will happen. Some believe the dollar will maintain its reserve currency status, but with a diminishing global share. Others predict a multipolar financial world where the dollar, yen, and euro and the digital assets coexist in a more balanced system. One thing is certain: the world of money is changing fast. The future of the US dollar is far from guaranteed. Will it remain dominant, or will we witness the beginning of a new era of global finance? What do you think? Will the US dollar hold its position, or will alternative currency take over? Leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going. Like and subscribe.